You're tuning into Creepy Time, where we bring you chilling creepy stories and eerie urban legends every day at 6 p.m. To support Creepy Time, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments so we can discuss the story together. Now, let's dive into today's tale. Rules for Night Shift Corpse Collectors. Jack Miller eased his beat-up Ford Explorer into the parking lot of Elmwood High School. It was just past midnight, the still hour when silence hangs heavy over the town of Fairview, Ohio. He gripped the steering wheel, a familiar knot of anxiety squeezing his chest. New job, 2 kids to feed, mounting bills. His ex-wife's voice echoed in his head. "You sure about this, Jack?" Working nights in an empty school? He pushed those thoughts aside as he reached for his coffee thermos black. 2 sugars, routine comfort in the chill. At 35, Jack hadn't pictured himself here. Newly divorced, down to his last nickels after layoffs hit the auto parts plant. But then, he'd seen the help wanted for a night shift janitor at Elmwood. $3,200 a month, far more than his old job. The catch? Must follow strict building security procedures. He'd brushed past it. Desperation has its blindness. Pushing open the metal door, the scraping echo startled him. Elmwood at night was its own creature. Dim hallway lights, trophy case gleaming but lifeless, shadows stretching between lockers. He stacked mop buckets ready to begin. That's when he saw it taped to the janitor's closet door, a yellow notice. Elmwood Night Shift Rules. It looked old, edges curled. Jack felt the familiar tongue-cold tickle of fear. He ripped it off, unfolded it on the mop cart, and read, "Never enter classroom 13 after midnight. Don't go down to the boiler room after 2 a.m. If you hear the piano in room 207, walk away, don't investigate. Don't look into the girls' bathroom mirror on the 2nd floor at 3:03 a.m. If you see a child in the auditorium wearing a red coat, don't approach." And 8 more rules, each unsettling in its brevity. He closed his eyes. Pennsylvania. Not phantom-hungry ghosts, just a night shift job. He tucked the list into his coat pocket and started sweeping. You might recall a similar story that rattled our no-sleep users online. At Henderson High in Pennsylvania, the night shift custodian, cleaning the girls' bathroom, heard a sob, then noticed a pale face in the mirror at 3:07 a.m. She never approached, left immediately, and resigned the next day. No official events followed, but the thread sparked dozens of mirror night rumors. I bring it up not to scare you, but to show how the mind fills darkness with possibility. When you follow a rule like "don't look," paranoia becomes your flashlight. Jack's radio buzzed, static, then a voice. "You okay, Miller?" It was Sam, the veteran custodian. Just getting started. Jack swallowed. Sam had been there 15 years, never missed a shift. "Watch your step by the north stairwell. Lights flicker again last night." His tone was flat, no levity. Jack forced a chuckle. "Got it." As mop water sloshed, he thought about Sam. One night, Sam said he found coffee mugs lined up like people at every desk in classroom 13. No explanation, no one admitted it, just mugs. Jack blew into his hands, trying to warm himself. Maybe old janitors see tricks in shadows, he mused. Desperation changes how we see risk. I was once in Jack's shoes, new in a town, jobless, hunting night hours to afford rent. My first night doing 3rd shift inventory in a hospital, I swore the halls responded to my footsteps. I saw shapes retreat into the corners. Turned out it was just my phone's flashlight beam curving the walls. But my body didn't care. It jolted, adrenaline racing. Fear isn't a rational response, it's primal. And when you're broke, fear gets muted. The bills come first. You just mop and push on. As Jack rounded the corner toward classroom 13, his breath caught. The hallway light cut out. He fumbled for his phone, no signal. Heart pounding, he flicked it on and saw the door ajar. The fluorescent glow inside flickered faintly. He paused. His rational voice, probably just Sam forgot to shut it, but the rule burned in his mind. He pulled back and moved on, mopping up toward the main office. Inside, the dusty piano in room 207 called to him an old upright with sheet music askew. He stopped. No music, but the air felt thicker. Goosebumps spiked. Rule 3. If you hear piano music, walk away. His phone buzzed again. Sam, you all right? Yeah. Weird silence in the music room. Good. Stick to rules. Jack exhaled. He laughed a short bark that echoed. Rules, not rules, stress. He kept cleaning. 3 years ago in Bluffdale, Utah, a night janitor found a student's notebook in a science lab. The student was marked absent that day. The notebook pages whispered of someone watching them after hours. The janitor brought it to the front desk. The student was never found. Officially, the notebook was dismissed. Prank. But in private, the school's head custodian told reporters, I've seen footsteps on the third-floor cameras when nobody should have been there. These stories seep into American school building lore because they reflect loneliness and uncertainty. Empty schools, creaky floors, echoes easy stages for the imagination. Jack's lamp trembled by the trophy case. A wooden bat in a display smear of reddish stain. He stopped, blinked. It was dry gum, dread curled. But he told himself, focus on job. Kids gotta eat. He made a note in his planner stamp of normalcy, routine overriding fear. The clock on his phone lit up. 1:55 a.m. Boiler room off limits after 2 o'clock. He finished the gym floor and leaned his mop, glancing down the corridor. The gym scoreboard glowed 0 to 0 as if waiting. He almost reached for the radio. Static in Sam's voice. You on schedule? Jack swallowed. Yeah. Keep it up. He stepped past the double doors, heater blowing stale breath around him. The smell, lubricant, sweat, aged wood grounded him. But beneath it all, the scent of driftwood or something faintly copper. He paused, overthinking. He shook his head and moved on. As Jack reached the library, he found the PA speakers above the stacks, humming with low feedback. No announcement, no clicks. Then faint music and old children's rhyme. Time to sleep, the moon is high. He froze. Rule 12, never respond if someone calls your name over the PA. Jack's name hadn't been called, but he didn't stay to check. His heart drummed as he backed out. Notice how every eerie moment follows a rule? That's design, not random haunting. It's storytelling and structure. The discomfort comes from following instructions without explanation. In a way, it taps into childhood logic. Don't walk in the dark. Don't talk to strangers. Now replayed with ghosts. The fear is in what we can't rationalize. That's why it sticks. Jack checked his watch. 2:45 a.m. He still had to finish cleaning the second floor bathroom and hallways, but time was behaving strangely. The air felt thinner. He pushed through, but each footstep echoed harder. Near the girl's bathroom mirror at 3:03, he made sure to stare at the beige tile instead, a trick to fool the rule focusing on the innocuous. A high-pitched note like fingernails on plastic. He spun around, nothing but the tiles and the faded mural of the Patriots mascot cheering him on. He exhaled, laughed nervously, and grabbed extra paper towels, morning prep for the early-eye birds. At 4 a.m., Jack dumped mop water. He was halfway done. He'd followed rules, ignored the piano, avoided the mirror. He felt proud. A normal night. He walked outside, inhaled cold air. His radio crackled. Nice work, Miller. Short pause. Then, tomorrow, classroom 13. Jack's stomach turned. "Not today, please." He nodded out loud. "Okay, Sam." He drove off as dawn's pale color brushed the horizon. He didn't know what he'd walked into, but he felt at home in that fear. Grief, desperation, survival, it had a rhythm. Jack woke with a jolt, heart pounding, the red light of his dashboard clock reading 2:45 a.m. He rubbed his temples, replaying the night's moments. The silent piano verse in room 207, the bathroom mirror rule evaded, and the unmoving shadows in the main hall. He checked the rule list yet again in his coat pocket. Rule 2 tonight, no boiler room after 2 a.m. He took a steadying breath and mapped his path for the next hour. Clean the second floor hall, empty trash, then head downstairs to finish. The night felt stretched, like a rubber band straining to snap. He sighed as the second floor hallway lights blurred into worn beige. Near classroom 13, his heart stuttered. The door was cracked open. He flicked the extreme duty flashlight from his belt and stepped inside. The desk lay silent, dusty. The smell of chalk dust filled the air. On the teacher's desk lay a crumpled notebook and a pencil, as though someone had dropped them mid-sentence. Jack approached, knuckles whitening. Why was someone right here? He opened the notebook in shaky handwriting, a single line. "They never left, buried where no one. 13 will hide them." His breath froze. A prank? A student? But the note's fear rang real. He flipped pages, nothing else. No signature, no date, just empty lines. Jack's mind darted to a horrifying headline he'd read months ago. In Grand Junction, Colorado, a night janitor found messages in an abandoned classroom student handwriting that spoke of being watched, of doors closing by themselves. Investigators found the notebooks but dismissed it as vandalism. But the janitor didn't come back. His car was later found with the engine still running in the school parking lot empty. Jack pushed the comparison away. "Don't scare yourself, man. Handwriting can be oddly intimate. A fear-filled script snapped from someone's trembling pen can haunt a room. It reminds me of a time I encountered scrawled notes in an old office building, just a few words. Help me. No name, no explanation. It rattled me for weeks. It wasn't the haunted building, but the contamination of someone's panic into the actual space. And that's what Jack felt now." He closed the notebook carefully, placed it atop the desk, and pulled the door shut. His chest heaved. He just wanted to mop and move on. But as he walked down the hall, feeling eyes follow his steps, the silence pressed in. At 3:08 a.m., Jack finished the girls' bathroom. He made sure not to glance at the mirror. As he walked toward the stairwell, a low hum vibrated beneath his feet, the old steam pipes. He forced himself down, careful, but his hand wavered over the stair railing. He reached the first floor hallway and paused. The hallway light ahead flickered. That's when he heard it, a deep creak. Not the sound of the building settling, but deliberate. One footstep, then another. He froze. The rule, don't go into the boiler room after 2 a.m., but he was face to face with it. Jack pressed himself against the wall, stomach knotting. The door to the boiler room was slightly open. A sliver of warm yellow light spilled out. He listened. No one moved. Next, the door squeaked, as though someone had nudged it. His mind screamed, "Leave! Leave now!" And yet, he crouched and peered inside. There's a chilling legend from Michigan. Gus the Gouger, a middle school janitor rumored to lure kids into the boiler room and gouge their eyes out. Ridiculous, right? The punchline, Gus was actually a lonely man living down there. He slept near the pipes because he had nowhere else. One kid, bold enough, joined him for cards. It was strange, even pathetic, not murderous. Funny and terrifying how isolation can warp rumor. Security cameras showing an empty boiler room don't prove safety. They highlight how easily darkness feeds fear. Jack edged closer. His little radio lay in his pocket. He thought, tell Sam what I saw, but he knew Sam wouldn't laugh it off. He never laughed. He snapped a photo of the open doorway, texted it to Sam. Boiler door open, no one inside. And then he fixed the latch, heart banging. Footsteps again hard, toward him. He ducked into a supply closet, clutching mop handles as makeshift weapons. The footsteps passed, then stopped. Silence, heavy enough to crush him. Minutes crawled by, then nothing. He peered out, no one around. He exhaled, slid against the wall, and after a minute, ventured onward. Night shift janitors in American culture are ghosts around, but easy to miss. We don't question them until something goes wrong. That anonymity breeds stories. Walls become witnesses, and every creak becomes a clue. Jack knew both the fear and the freedom of invisibility, but tonight, the rules weren't enough, they were rattling. Isolation can blur boundaries between caution and compulsion, caution and curiosity. By 4 a.m., Jack's muscles ached. The mop bucket was empty twice over. Upstairs was done. Downstairs, he cleaned the cafe, gym, and office. He turned a corner by the music room, nearly tripping over something. A small doll lay on the floor, plastic red coat, black hair stained gray, a chipped smile. He crouched, picked it up. His eyes burned. It wasn't school property, never seen it before. Then something familiar. His daughter, Sophie's doll, dropped long ago on a roadside picnic. The red coat, the exact shade, number. He swallowed. He scanned the hall behind him. Light from the foyer. Empty. He tucked the doll in his coat pocket and moved on, handshaking. Lost does something strange to memory. I once found my childhood teddy in storage in a broken down clinic years after losing it. I swore someone left it. It freaked me out. Later, I realized I brought it back, helped center me. Jack isn't sane enough to sort this yet. He's bleeding between worlds, desperation and grief, reality and haunted projection. That doll in his coat is proof both spheres bleed into each other. He returned to the main hallway at 5:30 a.m. The cleaning was nearly done. All that remained: wipe down the office doors, check front entrance, mop the foyer. Jack switched on the PA system to announce cleaning in progress. Static hissed. No reinforcement, it cut mid-syllable. He felt the radio in his pocket buzz. He squeezed it, no signal. Then over the PA, clear as day. Jack Miller, Lucy needs you. Lucy's his daughter. He froze. Dad, help me. He dropped the broom, asked, Who's there? His voice cracked through the silence. No response. He sprinted toward the office. His stomach plunged, his blood leached to his toes. He flung open the door. No one. The red doll fell from his coat pocket onto the floor, rolling under the desk. Jack dropped to his knees, tears stinging his eyes like acid. Rule 12. Never respond if name is called over PA. He listened. Nothing. Only his ragged breathing. This moment marks a turn. Jack followed every rule, but the specter of his daughter dismantled them. When fear hits close to the heart, every instruction falters. We cling to routine to steady ourselves, but trauma sees through cracks. The doll wasn't in his coat before. His mind planted it. His daughter's voice, likely the PA glitch playing into his worst nightmares. And yet, it felt real. And in that moment, he couldn't distinguish rule from scream. Jack scooped the doll up and tucked it in his coat. He grabbed his mop and bucket, voice gone from crying, body numb. He shoved the broom aside and raced outside. In the parking lot, he inhaled cold air. His truck headlights cut through mist that had rolled in. He sat in silence until dawn touched the clouds pink. Jack pulled into the school parking lot late that evening, the glow from the empty building windows casting long shadows over his windshield. Sleep deprived and still rattled, he pressed his palm to the steering wheel. His daughter's name still echoed in his mind. He shook it off, reminding himself, no more PA messages, no more Lucy. Tonight he'd complete the final nights of cleanup, follow rules without fail, and keep a grip on reality. Inside, the disinfectant scent of the gymnasium hit him first. Spot clean lines on the wooden floor, equipment neatly stowed, everything so orderly, so mundane. But as he wheeled his cart past the bleachers, the wood groaned like an old man's sigh. He hugged his coat tighter and moved along. On the second floor, near classroom 13, he paused by the trophy case. Something caught his eye, a small scuffed footprint in the dust, about the size of a child's sneaker. It wasn't there before. He knelt, inspecting it under his flashlight. Dust crept back into place like erasing chalk from a blackboard. He snapped a photo, heart in throat, and texted Sam. Footprint by trophy case, second floor. No reply. The silence on the radio felt heavy enough to suffocate. He swallowed hard and resumed cleaning, hurriedly wiping down lockers until his hands stung. His stomach churned with something between dread and resolve. He'd heard enough urban legends to know footprints at midnight aren't ordinary. That afternoon's search revealed something chilling. At Millard North High in Omaha, rumors spoke of a kid smoking in the boiler room. Heard footsteps behind him on the stairs, no one there when he turned. Later, custodians said they could still hear that raspy teenage voice, warning them, be careful, every time they passed that wing. A tragic consequence of fear turned legend. Jack knew how quickly an empty school becomes a stage for imagination and for mourning ghosts. He inhaled sharply, wiping sweat from his brow. Real or not, the footprint marked escalation. The school was responding. Deep in the hallway near room 207, he caught movement out of the corner of his eye. A gray blur, like static, caught on a derelict television. He spun, but found nothing. Just a hush of lockers, the hum of the air ducts. His flashlight flickered. You're doing fine, Jack, he muttered, breathing through his spine. He lifted the mop, leaned into duty, but his pulse pounded. He moved around the bend, then the radio buzzed with static. He reached to tune it before the voice cut in. Jack, look behind you. He jerked. No ambient noise, just that slow voice. He spun. The hallway was empty, linear, lifeless. Yet the words floated in the air. He whispered, "Who is it?" No response. Rule 12 again, no responding. He flicked the radio off. Personal reflection swelled. In absence of sight, the voice becomes authority. That principle echoes in life. When someone whispers your fears, you listen. And when it's your name, it's immediate. He wanted to run, but couldn't. At around 3:40 a.m., he entered classroom 13 again. Notebook gone, desk reversed. The chalkboard had a phrase slanted, hurried script. He left with her. Don't follow. His hand froze. Her, the doll, the child he heard begging, the footsteps. He crouched closer, smudged chalk below tiny shoe prints. His vision blurred, the words pressed at his chest. His daughter, the doll, the footprint, names in PA. He reached for chalk, intending to erase, but his fingers trembled. Instead, he traced the print with a fingertip. Dust rose and fell. He leaned back. He stood, left the room at a jog, heart galloping. Halls felt oppressive, windows staring. He passed a girl's restroom, the one the mirror warned against. He stepped in, paused at the entrance, then forced himself forward. Morning light shouldn't be here, but thought it might help. He flicked on the mirror light, then switched it off instantly. A cold spot, he told himself. He ran out. By 4:15 a.m., Jack found the boiler room door ajar again, But this time, the room pulsed with steam, heat and whispering voices. He could feel breath on his neck. His back hit the wall. He peeked. Boiler pipes twisted like veins. Shadows glistened between them. A silhouette by the furnace, tall, gaunt. It turned slowly, head tilted. No face, just coal black eyes. Jack's radio buzzed. "Jack, are you there?" Sam's voice calm. Jack flipped the radio to low. "Sam, in boiler room, I think." "Stay back, don't engage." Sam cut in. "Don't open door all the way." Jack's hand hovered on the knob. His heart froze, soup of steam and sorrow rising. He wondered if letting it in would deflate his fear or kill him. He backed away, pressed ear to the wall, held his breath. The shape stood motionless, like a sentinel, then stepped back into shadow. Jack snapped off his light beam, radioed Sam. "I'm heading out." Sam replied, "Meet me near front entrance. Now." He fled down the stairs, the doll's shape heavy in his coat. The voice, something whispered, "Daddy." He sprinted, panting. His legs turned jelly. He burst through main doors, slammed them behind him. Sam stood by the exit, flashlight in hand. "I saw it," Jack gasped. "Boiler room, shadow. I saw it walk." Sam didn't blink, simply slipped a hand into his own coat, pulled out chapstick, twisted it open, nodded. "Got to stay grounded, Jack. Grip it, breathe. Now come on." In the cooling dawn, Jack told Sam everything. Chalk words, footprints, voice messages, the boiler room vision. Sam listened, holding the flashlight to his face. Finally, he said, "You're not broken." He handed Jack the chapstick. "Keep this, whenever you doubt yourself." Jack slapped the lid back on, felt anchored. "I'll face classroom 13, he whispered. Sam nodded once, then said, "Let's both go in." Jack stared at him. "You're not going alone," Sam said. "This school's older than either of us. It needs caretakers, not scared people. We stick together. Tomorrow we clean together." Jack exhaled, fear still warm in his veins, but something else surfaced. Backup, support, purpose. At this 50% mark, the story pivots not just from fear, but from isolation to connection. Handling supernatural pressure with companionship is a primal survival move. We hyper-focus alone, but together, shadows shrink. Grief turns into partnership, and rules become something rooted in human solidarity, not just arcane paranoia. By tying in the Omaha boiler room voice story, we ground Jack's encounter in folkloric reality. That helps blur lines between psychological terror and real haunting just enough to keep us glued in. Jack's arc shifts. He admits fear and accepts help. That cracks open the path to confrontation rather than flight. The next night, Jack's hands shook less as he gripped the steering wheel. Sam sat beside him, loading flashlights, the doll, and Jack's notebook into the back seat, silent. They arrived at the gates before midnight, the school looming with the quiet weight of its past. Together, they stepped inside, footsteps echoing with purpose, not fear. They began in the foyer, sweeping glass shards from the trophy case, the lingering footprint from the second floor still etched on Jack's mind. But Sam moved slow, steady cleaning, not just surfaces, but gathering peace of mind. Jack, mop in hand, followed the rhythm. Clean corner, white floor, observe. His breath came in even lines, administered by the structure of routine. Stability in motion. They reached classroom 1-3, its door now firmly closed. Jack's flashlight beam revealed faint chalk-smudged words on the doorway. "She waits." Sam paused, hand resting on Jack's shoulder. The script wasn't there the night before, or maybe it was, and Jack was too frantic to see. The message cut clean across both their nerves. Inside, Desks were arranged in odd semicircles, chairs angled inward, as though facing something at the center. The blackboard still read, "He left with her, don't follow." Jack took the notebook from his coat. It lay open along a desk. The page was blank. He flipped earlier pages empty, no handwriting except that single chilling line. It was as if the notebook served only to host the first message, then sealed itself. Sam stepped deeper in. "We need proof," he said quietly, setting down a small recorder. Voice, footsteps, something unbreakable. Jack placed his phone on the desk. Voice notes turned on. He pressed record and spoke. "Jack Miller, night of August 7th, here in classroom 1-3. His voice rattled, but he kept going. Sam background snapped photos. The recorder picked up distant hum of lights, no voice, only silence. Then footsteps, soft, slow, one by one circling chairs. Neither man breathed. Jack's flashlight caught a shadow, not just light, but shape. A small figure between desks, twisted. It ducked. The flashlight swung, nothing in the beam. But the recorder crackled, a quiet voice, soft, "Daddy." The same word from the PA earlier. The dolls stirred in Jack's coat, but empty. Their hearts froze. They sprinted out of the room, nearly tripping over the threshold. Once safe in the hallway, Jack's chest heaved. Sam tapped the recorder. "We got audio." Jack pulled the recorder closer. In the playback, the voice repeated, clearer now, "Daddy, don't leave me." Jack sank to his knees. Grief and terror and guilt coalesced in his throat. The recorder shook in his hand. "Lucy," he whispered. It's her voice, but he knew it wasn't really. It was grief haunting the halls. They moved along the corridor, the doll clutched like a talisman. Sam guided him not to bravery, but to clarity. They entered the auditorium next. Old wooden seats, thick ropes tying curtains. Jack's mind seized on the rule. Red coat child in the auditorium. There, on a middle row, sat a child mannequin in a red coat, hair plastered down, eyes lifeless, but his head tilted toward the stage. Jack swallowed. Rule repeated, "Don't approach." Sam placed a shoehorn next to it, careful not to touch. Then came the scan. No wires, no camera, just a mannequin and red. They photographed it, pressing evidence into the file. Sam whispered, "We remove it tomorrow. Tonight, document it." They cleaned the cafeteria last. Stools upturned, counters gleaming under fluorescent glare that buzzed like cicadas. The place felt safe, ordinary. Sam joked, "Nothing creepy here unless you order late-night tater tots." Jack managed a shaky grin, his mind still echoing, "Don't follow," rebooted with mundane. But as they left, Jack paused. Near the exit, the janitor's closet door cracked open by inches by itself. He could have sworn he latched it. With Sam's flashlight, they entered not rules, but procedure now dictating their steps. Inside, the mop handles lay scattered, buckets askew. Then Jack's gaze locked on something in the corner. Tiny footprints, preschool size, dusty. They circled a herringbone tile layout. They were fresh. He knelt, traced one cold. He looked up. Sam stood silent with flashlight aimed low. No footsteps in the hallway. They left. The rule was unsaid. Now they knew they'd just broken it collectively. They walked out, breathing hard. They talked, not about ghosts, but about why. Jack said, "I feel like we're not here just cleaning this place, but something trapped here." Sam nodded. "This old school is a vessel. People came, spoke, died. Some got lost. The caretaker's role is to watch to honor footprints, voices, memories, and sometimes be a shield. Jack listened. He pictured Sophie's red coat, their Saturday picnics, how ghosts enter and outer wear our memories like draped cloth. He clenched his fist. "I don't know if any of this is real," he whispered, "but I know I want it to end." Sam's voice landed like gravel. "Then let's finish what we started. Tomorrow night, final sweep the auditorium, the closet, the boiler room, but with purpose." Jack nodded, eyes clear. This part moves from isolated fear to determined vigilance. Jack and Sam transition from rule followers to caretakers. The supernatural becomes more insistent but not malicious. It's a plea rooted in memory and loss, reflecting Jack's grief for his daughter. As caretakers, they aren't there to exploit or flee shadows, they're responding to them. The school's history becomes Jack's personal history too. Evidence gathering echoes real-world paranormal research, audio logs, photos, steps to track phenomena. It legitimizes their actions and gives the story direction. They finished cleaning, abandoned mop buckets, turned off all lights. Sam punched the outside door pad shut behind them, echoing beep, clarifying their exit. Dawn bloomed gray. Jack passed the recorder and photos back to his truck, guilt and resolve balanced. He kissed the dog goodnight, placing it on the dashboard with an old coffee mug nearby, his way of anchoring morning. Jack stepped into the school lobby just past midnight once more. Dawn still felt distant, only darkness and echoes awaited. He met Sam by the double doors, clad in purpose. Equipment recorders, flashlights, notebooks, now packed with intent. The night was different, no fear to hide, only questions to answer. They moved quietly toward the boiler room wing. Each step felt like crossing into another plane. When Jack reached for the doorknob, he hesitated. Steam hissed from beneath the door. The air shimmered with something like breath. Sam set a recorder outside the door. "Stay here if you need," he offered. Jack shook his head. Together, they crossed the threshold. Inside, heat thickened. Metal pipes groaned like joints. The shadow they saw before wasn't waiting, but the space felt occupied. They swept the flashlight across the furnace. The silhouette had vanished. But then, in the corner, a child's red coat doll stood propped, same as before. Jack stared. But the closet? Sam ran his hand over the pipes. Sound travels. Could be a toy displaced. They recorded audio, Getty images of steam, mechanical groans. But Jack listened closely. Through the ding of valves, he thought he heard infant breathing. He pressed record. Then, from the far end, footsteps. Slow, methodical, approaching. Jack froze. His blood pulsed. In the next moment, the steam vent hissed louder. The breathing stopped. The footsteps halted. Silence. They left. They caught their breath in the hallway. Jack's voice trembled. "Sam, it's alive," or "wanting." Sam compressed his shoulders. "Evidence matters. We got audio, photo, that doll." He added, "But I think it's trying to tell us something." Jack nodded slowly. "But what?" They explored further, heading toward the janitor's closet. The door swung wide. Their supplies arranged inside buckets. Cleaning tools were now moved, chairs stacked, mops aligned into the shape of a cross. He recognized the ritual symmetry from pagan folklore I once read about cleaning tools used to demarcate sacred space or ward. It wasn't chaos. Something was marking its presence. In an old school near Detroit, a custodian once organized cleaning supplies into intentional patterns, circles, crosses. He said he didn't do it. It was the building's way of fixing itself. He stayed. The following week, the patterns vanished, replaced by blooms of mold, just part of the building returning to normal. The man left weeks later, unable to explain nor ignore the signs, cleaning rituals in silence. Jack felt it now. This room and the school were speaking. How do you respond? They found the doll again, this time lying on top of the mop cart in the closet. Its head faced Jack, red coat crumpled. He reached to pick it, pausing as a whisper hissed in the corridor. "Help me." Jack stiffened. Sam's flashlight darted into shadow, no source. Jack whispered, "Let's go." Down the hall toward classroom 13, hearts racing, they carried the doll between them. Neither spoke. Electric tension crackled in hall lights that flickered. Approaching the door, they heard a soft melody piano echoes from room 207. Not strong, just a drifting chord, a note out of tune. Sam gripped Jack's arm. "That's rule 3 again. You ready?" Jack nodded, voice taut. "Let's tell it. We hear you, we're listening." They entered room 13. The chairs, the chalkboard message. She waits. No voices. Just the echo of piano behind door, faint. Jack placed the recorder and doll on teacher's desk. Sam spoke. "We want to know who she is." His voice earnest. "If there's someone, help us understand." Jack added, "We're here to listen." They sat. The recorder captured distant piano notes. Melody rose, soft, then clear, a childlike tune, simple and sad. It played for nearly 2 minutes. No footsteps, no voices. Jack and Sam sat still. The music then changed, the notes grew discordant. A girl's giggle, a whisper, "Daddy." Jack tightened his grip on the doll, his heart shattered in grief and hope. This was Lucy's memory, a callback to home, his daughter's bedtime lullaby. Too close. They stood. Jack looked into Sam's eyes, voice hushed. "We need professionals." Voudourevel? He meant paranormal investigators, but couldn't pronounce it. Sam nodded. "Yes. We leave doll and recorder. We tell them, don't remove. Let phenomena speak." They moved back toward the front. The school's empty weight pressed in, but it held no malice, only longing. They stopped in the foyer. Sam turned to Jack. "This school doesn't want to hurt, it wants to be heard. We're caretakers now, Jack." Jack exhaled. Grief so raw, he trembled. He whispered, "Tell Lucy, I love you." As Jack and Sam engage with the spirit, they shift from fear to stewardship. This act frames listening as action, an active care that honors memory, even when grief blurs lines. Pulling from real-life school haunting tools, watch ritual establishes context. Evidence builds credible tension without horror tropes. This is the crux when dread meets empathy. True resolution ignites. They left together, lights clicking, doors sealing with authority. Jack's voice rang calm as they walked to the lot. He held the now empty doll, velvet in his grip. The recorder in his jacket pressed cold. He sat in the passenger seat, eyes fixed on the recorder. Sam started the engine in silence. The night yielded mystery, but no terror, or maybe a kinder terror. Something mournful, born of memory. Jack reached for Sam's hand, a pact. Sam met his gaze. Dawn tinted the sky. They drove home. It had been 3 nights since Jack and Sam walked out of Mills Creek High. 3 nights of silence, no radio messages, no phantom chalk writing, no dreams filled with shadows. But Jack still woke every morning at 5:47 a.m., without fail, heart tight, eyes dry. Lucy's voice no longer haunted the PA system, but her memory had returned in full. Not as a ghost, but as a wound reopened, and now, at last, tended. He sat at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee, the small redcoat doll in front of him. Not in his pocket, not on the dashboard, just on the table like a keepsake, not a threat. Sam pulled into the driveway a few minutes later, right on time. He stepped out of his truck carrying a manila folder and a long, sealed envelope. "They responded," Sam said. "The paranormal group. They went in last night. Just one investigator and a thermal camera." Jack took the envelope. How long was he there? 45 minutes. Didn't make it through the boiler room. Jack raised an eyebrow. He said he felt wrong, like he was being asked to leave. Jack opened the folder. Inside were 6 photographs. One showed the classroom, room 1-3, with chairs still in semicircles. Another, the auditorium mannequin. But one photo, grainy and off-center, showed a human-sized heat signature standing in front of the chalkboard. A figure with no face, just blackness where eyes and a mouth might be. He left a note, Sam added, handing Jack a crumpled post-it. Said he believed the entity wasn't malicious, just bound, confused, repeating the past. Jack stared at the post-it. It read, "She's not trying to hurt anyone. She's trying to remind them. Someone forgot her. That's all." Jack sat back in his chair. The weight of those words sank deep. "She just wanted to be remembered," he said. "Most of us do," Sam replied, "and some of us leave marks where we can." 2 weeks passed. The school stayed quiet. Jack returned to his normal shift early mornings, normal hours, kids back in classes. Teachers laughed in the hallways again. The strange cold spots faded. The janitor's closet no longer rearranged itself. Even the mannequin in the auditorium disappeared, not by force, but like it had never existed. The administration hired a new part-time custodian to help with after-school cleaning. Jack showed her the ropes, told her about the boiler room and the quirks of room 1-3, but left out the rules. They were done serving fear. Still, he wore his chapstick in his left pocket, just in case. One quiet Thursday afternoon, Jack walked into classroom 13 alone. For the first time, the door didn't creak. Sunlight poured in through the blinds. Students had been in there all week. Books on the desks, gum under the chairs, the usual chaos of public education. But the chalkboard, that was different. One phrase, faint but legible, had been written near the top corner. "Thank you." He stood there for a long moment, unsure if it was a student playing a joke, a teacher's note, or something else. He didn't need the answer. He smiled, then erased the words gently with a dry cloth, leaving only green chalkboard behind. Sam met him outside a few hours later. "You okay?" he asked. Jack nodded. "Yeah, I think we helped her, or whoever it was." Sam lit a cigarette, offering Jack one. He declined. "You know," Jack said slowly, "I used to think ghosts were people stuck between places. And now I think they're memories, echoes that won't go until someone listens." Sam exhaled, smoke curling in the hot summer air. "Listening's underrated." Jack looked up at the roof of the school, then at the familiar brick pattern. "So is grief." They stood together for a moment, just 2 men who had walked through something strange, not with weapons or heroics, but with mops, flashlights, and the courage to stay when every instinct screamed to run. A month later, Jack packed up the doll in a small wooden box and drove it to the town library. He didn't tell anyone what it was, just donated it with a short note. Belonged to someone who didn't want to be forgotten. Let her rest. The librarian, confused but curious, shelved it in the local history display with a little brass plaque. No name, no story. Just remembrance. Jack's story isn't about a haunted school, it's about a man grieving his daughter, learning to carry her memory without letting it drown him. The supernatural elements, the voice in the PA, the chalkboard warnings, the childlike silhouette aren't just horror tropes. They're metaphors for unresolved loss. And Sam's presence shows us something too. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. We need others to steady our hands, hold flashlights in the dark, and tell us we aren't imagining things when the weight of grief gets too heavy. The true haunting wasn't in the boiler room, it was in Jack's memory. The school simply gave it shape. When we listen, really listen to pain, to memory, to each other, we allow what's lingering to settle. Some spirits don't want revenge or recognition, they want rest. And maybe, so do we.